but he's moving slowly. I'm taking into account this slow move. All right, 25 yards away, everybody. Stand by. Last day. Keep that path clear. 20 yards.
Graph will definitely keep the path clear.
I've been doing it. You just haven't been here.
You're getting way too excited for Graph. Graph needs you to tone it down a little.
10 yards away. Clear that path. Clear that path.
Doug's leaving. This is final day. So this is the last thing we're going to deal with Doug.
Seal here.
He counted down for 50 yards.
I like it. I heard you. I heard the whole thing. I was like,
Yeah, he does it every
all
day.
right.
You got it.
Okay.
We were tracking you from 65 yards out.
Yeah.
He's so proud of that.
Yeah.
So proud.
At least I know you're paying attention. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good thing. Right?
More than I could say.
Yeah. All right. All right, guys. Look, back out here in pads again today. Have an off day tomorrow for the players. And so I think it's a good time for an off day. Get our guys to recover just a little bit. We'll start later in the week, start kind of turning our attention a little bit more towards Arizona. I don't think we're at that point yet. Again, we worked some 2-minute situations. A lot of good situations came up today. So yeah, it was good. Kamara had a rest day. I know that's going to be the question. So Kamara had a rest day today. So everything's all good there. Yeah, so another good practice, I thought.
What was the 2-minute situation today? 1:15 left, timeout each?
In the game. In the game, down 2, so a little bit more stressful on the defense, in terms of, they're not having to gain really had to gain about 30 yards to get themselves into field goal range, so trying to create, some stressful situations on both sides of the ball. So I thought overall, we operated in those situations really on both sides of the ball pretty well.
Dennis, Brian Brzee said yesterday that things are slowing down for him in year 2. Are you seeing evidence of that?
Yeah, look, I mean, what I've noticed is a guy that looks different. I think he's changed his body. I think he looks like he's in better shape than he was when he first got here last year. I see more lower body power, so there's more balance when he creates contact with a blocker. So he's able to play a little bit more physical, which I think is an area that he's got to improve on. And and I think that's pretty typical for a younger player after they get a season under their belt. Man, here's what people don't realize. They go right from playing a college season and they go right into training for the combine and trying to get themselves ready for the combine, and then next thing you know, they're in an off-season program and they got a couple of weeks off, and then they're back into training camp, and it's like a little bit of a whirlwind for these guys. And so going into year 2, the season's over in January, you've got some time to kind of evaluate what you did well, what you didn't do so well, where are the areas that I can improve on, how can I get better. You identify those areas, and then you start to go to work on how am I going to improve in those areas. And so I think that's pretty common for a young player. And I've seen some growth in terms of that from Brzee.
I know Spencer's got a long way to go, but obviously, can you chart his progress, I guess, from spring to now, and how much a day like this can help him?
Who's that? Spencer Rattler?
To get the extra reps today.
Yeah, look, I mean, he got a lot of reps today, which was good to see. I think he's improving every day. There's still some things that he's doing that, we've got to just some, understanding how to play within the scheme of the offense, how to get through your progressions, knowing how to listen to your feet, when to take your chances down the field, when it's time to check the ball down. All those things are pretty good learning experiences. I wanted to put him in a situation, 4th and 5 there, in a move the ball situation, see if he could execute and make a play, and he did. He made a hell of a throw on an out route you know, we get a first down in that situation. So I see some of that, like, you know, confidence, which I think is good at the quarterback position, and yet, you know, there's some times where I think we gotta, you know, pull the reins back just a little bit.
Is this timing a lot better from the spring?
Yeah, and I think that's both him and, you know, the offense, the receivers, tight ends, all those guys are getting, you know, a little bit better timing as they've had a chance to kind of work together a little bit.
This is the first time in a while that, you know, you guys haven't had like a veteran to back up your starter. How do you kind of feel about just Jake and Spencer, and kind of through that lens?
Well, I think we got to let these preseason games play it out. You know, I think we're trying to determine if we have a backup quarterback on our roster right now. I've seen some signs that I like, and yet I want to get them into real live situations under the lights and see how both of these guys operate in that environment. So I'm encouraged by what I've seen out of both Spencer and Jake, and yet, you know, we haven't made any decisions there, and I want to see what they operate like under the lights.
Dennis, I'd seen you make a similar comment like that the other day with these young backups. I mean, we've seen some teams around the league. You guys saw Tyson Bagent last year, a rookie with the Bears. I think Jake Luton got that. I mean, do you have a philosophy on the backup quarterback is you have to meet a certain threshold? You don't want to see young guys sinking or swimming in that role?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say I'm going to give these young guys every opportunity to prove that they're deserving of that role, you know, and that comes through what you do out here on the practice field and what they're going to do when they get into preseason games. And so I don't think I've ever shied away from playing young players, and yet they've got to earn it, you know, and so that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, what's been your assessment of the kickers?
I think it's been a good competition, you know. I think both players have been a little bit more inconsistent than I would like right now. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm expecting 100%, and so I think we still have work to do in that area. But both of them have talent, and I'm talking about just the field goal kickers right now. Both of them have talent. Both of them have really strong legs. Both of them have hit 60-plus yard field goals, and both of them have missed some ones that, you know, we need them to make. And so I don't think we're settled at that position yet. I think we've got to, you know, make sure that we've got a guy that we can count on in a critical situation to make the kicks that we need him to make to win games.
Dennis, what has been the experience having training camp here in Southern California?
Listen, I think it's been a good experience for us. You know, obviously, you know, the weather's been probably exactly what I would have been looking for. I don't think it's been, you know, too cool. Certainly hadn't been too hot. We're not dealing with a ton of humidity, so I think the weather's been awesome. I think, you know, our setup at the hotel from a meeting room standpoint has been outstanding. I think our guys are able to kind of get away from some of the distractions that take place when you're at home, you know, and they're really kind of able to focus in on, you know, building a team, building a tough, smart football team, and building a team that's united together and willing to work and grind for each other. So I've enjoyed the experience.
Was getting away from the Louisiana heat, like, do you think that was going to help on the injury front, and being out here and having as many injuries as you guys do right now, has that been maybe slightly disappointing or anything like that?
Well, look, it's more than what I would like, certainly. But I also think this. I also think that, you know, at some point you got to build some callus for the regular season, and some of this is the price of doing business. And we're going to do everything we can to try to avoid injuries as much as we possibly can. And yet, that's the game that we play, and we're going to push them hard. And our guys are responding, and they're doing well in that regard. So there'll be a point where I feel like we're going to need to back off just a little bit, try to get him back a little bit, but I don't think we're at that spot yet.
Dennis, would you say Willie Gay caught your eye a little bit today?
Yeah, look, I think Willie every day does something that catches my eye. I think with him, it's just about being more and more consistent. There's a lot of splash plays that I've seen from him from an athletic standpoint that, that are really good plays. And then there's some things that, he's got to get corrected or else it's going to cause us some issues. So I just think really with Willie, it's more about the consistency. Here's what I love about Willie is he comes out to work every day. He's got a smile on his face. He works extremely hard. He knows what his challenges are, and he works extremely hard to try to get those things corrected. So, I think we're still in the process there with him, but yet I see improvement. I see, a guy from where he was in the spring to where he's at right now. I've seen some significant improvement.
There's signs of tempo all the time that we notice. I'm not sure if this is something you've done in years past or a new drill this year. When you had the whole defense out for the turnover drill. Is that something you've introduced as part of the increased tempo this year?
No, that's a drill we've done. I don't think we usually let you guys into practice that early, so you probably haven't seen that drill. But yeah, but yeah, it's a drill we've done, and it's designed to try to increase the tempo a little bit, and also it's a turnover drill, and it's designed to kind of teach us what we need to do when we are able to take the ball away and how we convert from being a defensive mindset to an offensive mindset and going to try to score on defense. So, it's just one of, probably a half a dozen drills that we do, to start practice.
I have noticed, and maybe it's because we're not out here all the time, but a lot of running. There've been different sessions where you guys are sprint to this, sprint to this, sprint to this. Is there anything you've done to increase tempo, or not necessarily?
No, I think there's an increased sense of urgency with these drills. And I think, I read something where Tyron had said, we're going to play with way more attitude. And I think that's something that, we've tried to address, and that, defensively, I think there's another gear and another mindset that we have to get to, from a defensive standpoint. I think when you play good defense as we have here, I think there sometimes can be a little bit of comfortability with, that we're just going to kind of go back out there and play, good defense because that's what we've done in the past, and that's not the way this operates. And so I think there's been a renewed sense of, the philosophy behind the way that we play defense, and that's kind of what we're trying to get back to a little bit.
What are Ugo Amadi and Chandler were 73 dealing with?
Brewer's got a tricep, and Amadi's a groin.
What does a day off look like for the coaching staff?
Not a day off. A lot of meetings. A lot of meetings, personnel meetings, talk about the players, talk about where we're at, who's doing well, who needs to improve, what areas do they need to improve in. There, a lot of that type of discussions, a lot of work on upcoming practices, getting those things planned, scripted, things of that nature, and then, certain projects, special projects, we'll start working on, putting together game plans for Arizona. We've already been in the process of, kind of looking at our first, regular season opponents and some of the things that they're doing and some of the things that we can expect, and, how and when we can maybe start to incorporate, some things that we may want to utilize against, our upcoming opponents. So that's really what that looks like. There's it's a lot of meetings.
I'm kind of use days off that way. Like, players will get practice off, but how do you keep your coaches from burning out through the the like mental grind of training camp.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, you know, here's the thing. You know, when you start looking at regular season and there's a lot of late nights and things of that nature, and in training camp, you know, we get done with our walkthroughs, you know, call it 7 o'clock, give or take, and we'll get back to the hotel, and coaches will, you know, go through and watch the walkthrough and make whatever kind of training camp cut-ups that they need for their players. But it's not one of these all-night, you know, affairs. And then, you know, when you get to the day off, you're probably not starting quite as early in the morning, and usually we'll go through, you know, till about dinner time, and then, you know, give guys some time, you know, to maybe go grab some dinner together or get an early, you know, turn in for an early night. So it's kind of how you handle it during this time of year.
I guess you got to get used to it sometime. Doing it the next 6 months, right?
Yeah. Well, look, there's going to be plenty of time for that grind, and you know, look, the reality is, you know, both as a player and as a coach, you know, the grind is these practice days, man. We're putting in some significant, you know, work, both mentally and physically, you know, really from time we get up in the morning until we get through, you know, mostly for the players through the walkthrough or whatever the case may be, and then, you know, we get to kind of take a little bit of a breath and kind of recover just a little bit. So certainly not the same dynamic as it is during the season.
I know you've been out here all day, but have you heard anything about Jake Haener and his procedure?
I've not heard anything on that yet. No.
In those meetings, do you take stock of, all right, here's who I think is winning the backup quarterback competition, or like, is that something you're constantly thinking about, or is that like, is the day off a good time to kind of evaluate and see where things stand?
Yeah, no, I think look, you're constantly evaluating it, but I think the day off is really the time that we kind of get a chance to kind of sit back, reflect on what's happened the last 4 days. All right, we had one of these the last time we had a day off. You get a chance to sit back and reflect on where things are and what we're doing, both from an individual standpoint in a player evaluation and from a collective standpoint, position groups and each side of the ball looking at, you know, where we're at collectively as a group, you know, and what are some of the things we're doing well, what are some of the things we can improve on, what are some of the things that we want to emphasize, what are some of the things we want to kind of move away from a little bit. So, all right, thanks guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like. Okay, then just go with it. You would know more than that.
Good luck with that, Catherine.
Eventually it'll come off.
Things got affected you yesterday, huh? The Sunday practice.
I mean, I guess I'd rather have that day off and then go back Monday, but like.
Well, I thought you were going to go to the baseball game. Oh, you're going to go, so. Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of good stuff, or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm always, yeah.
Hey, you got 1 minute? Come here a second. You got a minute? Hey.
Like 9 times a day.
Sure, but I'm just gonna talk.
Yeah. Never mind, he's about to come. I'll ask you after. You ever, Doc, come on, let's sit down.
Wait a second.
You ever seen him wear 20 yards?
They asked me, I told them I don't.
such a hard day watching practice.
I guess.
Spencer, what do you think your biggest strides have been since the spring?
I just think getting chemistry with the guys, obviously getting reps and just getting comfortable with everything, feel great. Gotten a lot of reps, a lot of practices under my belt, so feel good. And still a lot of room to improve.
Does maybe feel like your timing is a bit better than it? Is that an accurate statement or?
Everything, everything feels better. We continue to strive for perfection, knowing you'll never get there, but just grinding out and stacking these days.
The 2-minute drive, you got to be happy with that, right? To get you hit on the 4th down, you get them in field goal range. You got to be happy with what you did late in this practice, right?
Yeah, I feel all practice, we were happy with what we did. But yeah, 2-minute drives are crucial, especially end of the game 2-minute drives, and we were happy we can convert on that one.
It looks like you're getting pretty comfortable out here. Where do you feel like you're at within the offense, kind of grasping kind of everything?
I feel great. I feel comfortable. I feel confident out there, and I think as a quarterback you have to be. All our guys. It starts with Derek, and he does a great job. And I just try to follow the lead, push him, he pushes me, and Jake as well. So just love being out here and competing with our guys.
What'd you do during the break from mini camp to training camp? What was kind of the focus for you?
I was back in Arizona, training with my QB coach, Mike Giovando. Just cleaning up fundamentals and working on little things that we noticed in spring ball OTAs and stuff, and really improved in some of those areas, and then came back and got right back to work.
What were those areas? What did you notice in those areas that you needed to clean up?
Oh, just very small things, footwork-wise, false steps, little punch steps in your drive, not getting too much depth, maintaining that circle in the pocket, not hitching too much. Just little minute things that can add up, though, to negative plays and can add up in it. You got to control that and avoid that.
That attention to detail as a young guy, like where does that come from?
Since I was a kid, just always wanted to be the best, in whatever I do. So always just focusing on how can I make myself better, how can I get better, and I think that's how you got to be.
Have you been in an offense that does the things that this offense is doing? And how would you describe this offense, from your perspective?
Yeah, I was lucky to have a system like this at South Carolina. Obviously not to the level of this. What Clint is doing is amazing. As you guys know, his resume is great. And but a lot of the verbiage is the same, a lot of motion, stuff like that. But this is just a level up. Obviously, a lot more volume of things, and we get great looks on every play. I feel like, and we have answers. So once you get it under your belt, I don't have everything under my belt, but I feel great. You can get rolling.
When you say what Clint is doing is amazing, like what part of what he's doing strikes you? What do you see that amazes you?
Yeah, he knows how to. Play to guys' strengths. We got a lot of playmakers, a lot of guys that can go out, get the ball in their hand, and do something serious with it. We got good quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends. He knows how to get guys open, scheme stuff up, and does a great job.
Do you enjoy how much this offense kind of puts you on the move, on the bootlegs?
Love it. That's one of my favorite parts. If you can get out of that pocket, get on the move, I think that's super beneficial.
What is beneficial about it?
You just got more options. You can tuck in and run. You got a flat. You got usually 3 levels, and then you always got a chance to run it yourself.
What was your official ruling on whether you got that pass off today on the defense?
Oh, I for sure got it off. I for sure got it off.
Did you take us through the throw though? What did you see, and how did you kind of find your way back there?
Yeah, it was a play action pass. Just trying to hit a little deep slant, little drift route. They fell under it, got some pressure, kind of faded to my right, went to my second and third read, and Cedric was wide open. Shout out to Tipton for clearing it out, and it's a big play, big touchdown.
Is that something you feel like you're processing a lot faster now, just going through your reads?
You could say so. I feel good getting through my progressions, getting to your third and fourth read, but I'm a rookie. I haven't played in a live game yet. Obviously, you want to try to get that ball out on your first or second read, but if you need to get back to 3, 4, sometimes 5, you have to.
Seems like you have a lot of trust in Jacobson, just from the team reps that we see. What do you like about his game?
We had a good week this week. He had a good week. I feel like last week, the week before, I missed him on a few, sailed 1 or 2, missed him low on 1. But this week we connected well in 7-ons and team in crucial moments. So, he's just a big target, smart guy, knows where to be, and, plays fast.
Does his basketball background help him out, do you think?
I think if you were a multi-sport athlete, I played basketball as well. It helps with everything, especially in this game.
How do you decide when to run obviously you want to show off your decision making even more, even though you know you probably could get more throws off if you don't. Like, what's the decision process there?
I mean, in today's game, you have to be able to run. You know, defenses are good; they can cover up a lot of stuff. If that pocket shuts down, I'm not trying to be in there too long. You know, I got a clock in my head. When I see daylight, I'm gonna go. I'll take the fine.
Hey, Spencer, how special is it that your first preseason games and things?
Oh, it's awesome. You know, excited to go back home. Excited, you know, got a lot of people coming out, so it should be fun.
How many people? Do you know yet?
A lot of people. A lot of people. It's gonna be a good time.
Have you played there since high school?
No, this will be my first time going back since high school. Yep.
Oh, just in terms of the competition, Jake, when you guys rotate, like one day you're with the twos, the other day with the threes, like, how do you kind of compartmentalize that to say, like, all right, I don't have to show out with the twos today, I just have to keep doing everything I'm doing, or do you see like, all right, today I'm with the twos, I have to make an impression? How do you kind of?
I try to show out every day. You know, play my best ball every single day. Twos, threes, doesn't matter to me. I try to play my best ball, cleanest ball, get the ball to the playmakers, make some throws.
How does it feel like a cheat code when you get reps with Olave out there?
Dude, it's different. I make it a key point when he's in, get him the ball. It's that simple.
Thanks for the
All right, appreciate you guys.
Hey, you said it's like
Spencer, does Mike come on?
a menu. Okay. Yeah.
I'm just staying in touch right now.
Media format. If I hit it right there, see that? Format media. It is media. Make sure we don't fuck with I've never had it where
Channel 1?
No, it's channel 4.
Number channel 1.
Spicer? Ooh, right, nice.
Oh,
That's a good one. I love it. Spicer. Thank you.
Yeah.
was thinking,
Do you want to do the video today? You want to do it?
Yeah.
Tracker Jacker from Hunger Games. Is that what they were called?
Gonna be light tomorrow.
Right.
And who?
Right, we got two people left, but Jacobson and
Oh, thank you.
Coincidence or not?
I'm good for Wednesday. On the show.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then we won't need a preview show. I think my boss is going there for that, and then we'll run the Rattler for that. But I'm planning out Wednesday's show, but then yeah.
So Rattler, so that Rattler is the
Third for the preview show. Yeah.
So close to you.
Yes, you guys take your stand-ups on the field. Like I said, think of the offense, defense, special teams is plenty good. Throw to like 2-3 sound bites, but you all go back and forth. I'll record that on my end. Yeah, after the person. That's sick. Is Lane will be there too? Lane also. We'll talk to Lane when we get back. Just be 2 segments of content for a year.
John, you and Ryan, simple market argument.
Yeah, I kind of saw that too. They said they are. Yes.
I was looking at the.
They were green when we got here.
They killed him?
Walking around the outside, I kind of noticed it too.
Air float today on the last day.
Yeah. I didn't get any photos of the airplane.
Yeah,
Let me get a selfie with the airplane.
I just don't get plastered in that, okay?
I'm not. We're just gonna get really high.
Are you watching him or I am? Someone's got a babysit.
I'm not watching.
Yeah. Whatever it is gonna be quick. I mean, my wife is hanging out with Brett. I know he got longer hair and shit. He has more female characteristics.
Did you? Or was Alex with us when you? How many beers? How many beers? Yeah. I've seen you from the back. That was too bad. I was the same way. I almost did.
I came so close to walking up to that lady.
I'm joking towards her, and then she turned. I'm like, oop.
And I said, and I was like, I mean, logic kicked in. I was like, why would he be sitting there? Everybody.
Should I just text Davis and like, don't worry about it?
Yeah, right.
Random dynamic thing too. Like all these other ones are signed. There's that guy. I don't even know who that guy is.
First down. You gotta do it now. That used to be my theory when I was covering press. Go down to Bluefield Venice because you ain't putting it back out. You're not in the preseason. You're not in the
They didn't bring him all last summer. He's never spoken to them. Offensive line. We talked to Patrick. I don't think we ever talked to Udo.
Cut bait here.
We talked to Caesar.
Yeah, he was good. He was over there.
Foster
Come on. Slide you right. Here you go. Thank you,
really early. Wasn't he,
Who, Foster?
Monday?
Yeah, Foster was good. He was on the side one too.
Oh, okay.
Side Caesar?
Caesar and Foster over there.
With the side of Caesar and salad and banana.
I saved Jamal was over there. I saved him for today because I think it was more newsworthy because he was crazy on Pat's and his daughter.
Here, come forward a bit.
That's my daughter.
Is this for like child?
I'm personally a dog guy. I'm sure you are too, Triplets.
I'm a dog.
I think
Not a lot of cat people.
I think it was promotional materials Zach wanted, but whatever you want to do.
Take his decisions.
It's good.
They got till 12:15.
Turn yourself a little bit. Yeah.
He's cool, man. Me, that's gonna show up in 10 minutes now.
Yep.
Did you do Luke as well?
No, not yet.
I knew who they were. Oh, really? 10 minutes? Yeah, right. Yeah.
A little bit more.
Back in his shop business?
I guess so.
I guess, yeah.
There's a catch. My flash might die. But we could, I'm saving up that. I just have never used it such a prized power before. It's usually takes months for it to die.
Did you get all the people you wanted to get there?
Mostly.
Good. Thanks for all your help out here.
pushing forward. What's going on?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, doing well.
What's your assessment of the camp you're having?
I think just trying to improve every day. I think the thing we've talked about a lot in our room is just keeping the focus small, day by day. Training camps, obviously, it goes quick, but day to day it seems long. So just keeping your head down and one day at a time and trying to improve. Just worry about the next script for practice, the next, drills we're doing, whatever it is, and just keep getting better each and every day, and then look up at the end and see where you're at.
Your pass catching ability is pretty evident to us out there. What do you think you need to work on most to prove they can put you on the field, I guess, in the other areas?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most transferable skills from coming from basketball background is the pass catching and route running. But I want to get better at everything. I know that probably sounds cliche. Still want to improve in that area, and then I think the main thing is just in the run game. Blocking, and there's not a lot of that in basketball, so trying to kind of figure out that technique and also just with the pass protection stuff would probably be the two biggest areas for me.
And how's it going? Have you made a big leap from May till now?
Yeah, I feel like from when we kind of started this journey, I've made a good number of improvements, but still a long ways to go, and I'm not naive to that. So just focus on little things, take Coach Barone's pointers when I get them, and just try to absorb as much information as I can.
Mike, what was that transition like when you first? Because you had gone 6, 7 years without playing. How long had it?
Yeah, it was 6 years. Yeah.
What was that transition like going from basketball to football once you started?
Yeah, I remember my first training camp in Seattle, and just remember how fast everything was moving to now, and being here and being able to make some plays and actually be a part of the rotation and getting reps and during call periods and 2 minute and big situations in the game. I'm proud of how far I've come, but this isn't like the end goal. I have had high expectations for myself throughout this process, and even when I started, I thought I could potentially be a special player, and I'm still working to do that and trying to make strides. And yeah, like I said, I'm not naive to how much I still need to improve, how much I still want to improve, and just trying to keep that my focus.
What did you play in high school? Did you play tight end?
I played tight end. Yeah, I played a little bit of defensive end my senior year. We actually Anthony Nelson, who plays for the Bucks, he's a defensive end for them. We were high school teammates, so he was on one side and I was on the other my senior year. So played some defense too, but I was mostly just run, jump up, swat the ball. Yeah.
What was it like just sort of playing, being teammates with Tyrese in college?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Tyrese and I were actually roommates for a year. So yeah, pretty special to see what he's doing and out there, playing in the Olympics, and that's a pretty stacked team they have. So for him to make that roster is quite the honor, and it's cool to watch just all the success that he's had, kind of coming from 3-star recruit in high school, kind of a no-name, to I remember him at that first practice, everyone kind of being impressed with what he could do, and now 4 years later, 5 years later, whatever, he's NBA All-Star and playing for Team USA. So
Who's his roommate now?
it's a good question. Somebody who better player than me.
Y'all still keep in touch?
Every so often, not a ton. Yeah.
How does your basketball background help football? Is it like body control, like positioning, or
Yeah, I think so. I think those would be definitely two things that helped. I think just kind of multi-planar movements, I guess, not to get too scientific, but just, you know, you change directions a lot in basketball. You got to play both ends of the court, you know, running in transition. Yeah, just kind of being able to adjust to the ball, you know, being able to track it, soft hands, those type of things, I think have helped.
When you're first going about that switch.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say being 6'7" probably doesn't hurt you.
It doesn't hurt. No, definitely not. It doesn't hurt. Sometimes I get told to identify like a 6'2" person just to get my pads down, but it's one of those things I'm still working on. So yeah. But,
You played overseas a year?
yeah, for 1 year. Yeah.
Where'd you play?
I played in Ukraine. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you make that switch, like, do you still kind of think of yourself as a basketball player who's playing football, and like now, years later, like, do you identify as a football player?
Yeah, definitely identify as a football player now. I think I'm far enough removed from the basketball thing that this is what I do now. This is pretty much all I train. In the summers, I try to play as much pickup as I can. But yeah, this is obviously my primary sport now. And I think at first I was definitely like a little bit overwhelmed, and like I said, everything was moving very fast. But now I definitely feel more comfortable.
What stands out to you about Spencer Rattler?
Sticks out about Spencer?
Yeah.
I think just his poise. I think he's got a lot of arm talent. He can throw the rock for sure. So I think he's done a good job coming in, and I think learning from Derek and Jake, and you know, just absorbing as much information as he can and learning the offense. And I think he has good command of the huddle, and yeah, gets people in the right spots. And obviously I think there's no doubt about his God-given talent. I think that's been seen for a long time. So.
What do your college teammates think about you being in the NFL? And what they kind of say to you?
I think it's a surprise for some people. I had a little bit of, I would say, like a football mentality when I played basketball. I was just, you know, tried to play hard, tried to rebound, tried to be physical. So I think it's maybe not a huge surprise to some, but yeah, I think it's a cool journey. And I actually saw Mike Rose, the linebacker, that they worked out some linebackers this morning. So former Iowa State guy, saw him in the locker room, and yeah, it's crazy. I actually, we were in school at the same time, but that was the first time I spoke to him, was in the locker room this morning.
I'm sure this story's been told, so I apologize, but what was the genesis of you trying football out?
So I played a year in Ukraine, was still working out for basketball, and had 3 or 4 offers to go back over and play in Europe, and I remember sitting in my apartment in Ukraine and like staying up till like 4 a.m. and watching playoff football games and seeing guys that I played against in high school or teammates of mine, whatever, playing specifically the tight end position. And I was like, I felt like, okay, I could be out there doing that as well and not living in Ukraine. So when I came back, I was, like I said, I was still working out basketball, had some offers, and then kind of started to, you know, I was like, let me just run a 40-yard dash and see what the time is. And the time was pretty good. And I was like, okay, I think this is real. So like I said, I have that friend who plays for the Bucks, and I got in contact with his agent, and he sent me to Nashville to kind of work out with some of those guys, Kittle and Hawkinson and those guys down there, and get evaluated. And they thought I had a chance at playing, so he signed me. And then that's when the Seattle thing happened. Yeah, the agent signed me, and then I worked out for Seattle, and they signed me to the training camp, and then that's kind of where it all began. So.
Did you see the commotion that Austin Rivers caused over the spring with
yeah.
versus NFL? Like, I just kind of being on both.
One of those like boring summer no sports talking points, arguments. I think if I had to take a side, I think it's easier for a basketball player to try to make an NFL. Like if you had to do it next week, like I think a basketball guy would have a better chance of making an NFL roster. Those guys are so skilled, and the size is. That was one of the reasons I came to football, was I was undersized on the basketball floor as a 4 or 5 man. So, you know, those guys are 6'11", 7 feet. You know, they can run, jump, shoot threes. Like, it's just the skill level is such a niche thing. Sure. I think it would be harder for a football player to try to come play in the NBA level.
Your experience with Jimmy Graham last year, obviously he's somebody with a basketball background who ended up being very successful in the NFL. What was that like for you, just kind of getting to be around him?
It was so cool. Jimmy's a great guy. We still talk every so often, and I tried last year just to take as many pointers as I could and pick his brain and just watch the way he practices and kind of how he handles himself and carries himself as a professional. And You know, I still try to pick his brain about stuff even this offseason, and there was part of me that was hoping Jimmy would be potentially back for another one, because I think he had, 7 catches last year for 4 touchdowns or something like that, a pretty crazy percentage. So, no, that's a guy who's obviously done it at an extremely high level and had a ton of success, and you would be, stupid not to try to learn from him. So.
Are you the best basketball player on the team? On the Saints team?
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of guys that think they can play, but I like my chances.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Like that video of Brian Scalabrine like playing against semi-pro guys and just
right.
absolutely
I don't think
wrecking
people
them.
realize that.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
How y'all doing?
How you doing?
Great.
What's your assessment of how you're fitting in so far?
It's going well for me. I feel like I'm starting to get very comfortable with the play calls, and I feel like I'm moving faster. I feel like I'm seeing things faster, and I'm able to react faster, which leads to making bigger plays. So I feel like I'm doing well.
Primarily at will is where they've.
Yeah, primarily I
You
will.
gotta do everything, especially.
Yeah, I'm primarily at will, but I've been getting some mic reps, so they've been going back and forth with that.
And what's your background? What did you play most in Washington?
Well, we ran basically like a 4-2-5 in Washington, so I played both linebacker positions, so technically inside and outside. So I feel like I'm able to do either or. So wherever I'm at, I'll be ready to go and be able to play my best ball.
What do you think about this linebacker group as a whole? Since you guys.
Is that what do I think about it?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's a great group, led by DeMario and Pete, guys like Willie Gay and Orgy, all them guys. Just being in there, being in that room with them, being able to pick their brains, learn from them, and just see them go out there and ball every day. Just I feel great being in this room, and I feel like we're gonna have a special year.
And then, what's been kind of your impression of Hodges from the outside looking in?
Oh yeah, he's a great coach. He hones in on the details. He teaches us the ins and the outs, and he just every day he's supporting us. He's always gonna get on us on ways to get better, ways to keep improving, and ways to keep making plays out on the field. So he's helping put us in position to be able to do that.
You have obviously played a ton of special team snaps in your history. Is that a means to make a team, or is that something that you're like, no, this is going to be a special team?
Oh yeah, special teams is very important for me, very important for the team, and it definitely helps you get a spot on the team on the 53-man roster. So special teams are always one of the most important things for me. That's kind of a way how I be able to keep evolving my name, from special teams starting first, and from there, what I do on defense, is second. But I always put special teams first.
What do you make of the kickoff changes now?
I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's going to help create more ways to make plays. More chances to have action on kickoff. In the past, usually just kick it out the end zone and get ready for defense or whatever. But I feel like it's going to bring a new aspect to the game.
Yeah, a lot less like running down the field for no reason.
Yeah, a lot less of that.
Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Billy.
Have a nice day.
You too.